All right, our next segment in our geometry lesson is going to be volume. Again, volume, whoops. All right, so in this first one, we have a cube. How do we know it's a cube versus a rectangular prism in number 2? A cube will have all equal sides in length, height, and width, whereas a rectangular prism will have different side lengths. Doesn't have to be all different, but at least one different. So volume is going to equal s to the third, or s times s times s. That s is 6, so it's really 6 to the third. So our volume is 6 times 6 times 6, which is really 36 times 6, which is 216. And this time I am in inches to the third, because for volume, we're talking about the third dimension. We're talking about an inch times an inch times an inch, which in exponent world from way back at the beginning means that I have 3, and that's inches to the third. Okay. For number 2, our volume is length times width times height. We can't just multiply 1 by itself 3 times because all 3 sides aren't the same. It does not matter which is which. You just want to make sure you get those 3 different numbers. So we get a length, a width, and a height in there. So we have 10 times 20 times 40. 1 times 2 times 4 is going to be 8. We have 3 zeros. That rule still applies. Or when you plug this into your calculator, you are going to get 8,000. And we are in inches to the third. Now, for cylinder, our formula is pi r squared times height. You notice that this is the area of a circle. And then we multiply it by the height. So this right here, that 2 is my radius. This right here is my height. It's how tall this is, 5. How do I know this is my radius? Well, it's only half of the width of the circle. So I'm ready to go. Volume equals pi times 2 squared times 5. We have to do that exponent first. So 2 times 2 is 4. So we get volume equals pi times 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. So for this one, I have 20 pi. I can leave it just like that. I would put feet to the third. I'm allowed to leave my answers in pi. If I don't want to leave my answers in pi, I write 3.14 as pi, and I do 20 times that, and I get 62.8 feet cubed, or to the third. And I'm all done. Either one of those works. Now for my sphere, you notice that in my sphere formula, V equals 4 over 3, and this one is pi times r to the third. So there's those matching 3's in there. But notice I can only use a radius. Well, I don't have a radius. I have a diameter of 16, which means in order to get my radius, I would need to do 16 divided by 2, which gives me 8. So my radius is 8, half of my diameter, half of 16. So I plug that in there, and I get 4 over 3 times pi times 8 to the third. Now, 8 to the third is going to be 8 times 8 times 8. And I'm going to get 512. So my volume equals 4 over 3 times pi times 5 over 12. I can look at this. I want to grab this and this. Remember, I can put that 512 over 1, and now I can kind of pull this out. I would do it really maybe down here. All right, here we go. This is going to be 4 over 3 times 512 over 1. I have a calculator, so these big numbers are not scaring me. 4 times 512 is 2048. 3 times 1 is 3. 2048 divided by 3 gets me not a nice answer. 682.6 repeating, which rounds to 7. So this is ultimately 682.7, pi. So I'm going to multiply it by 3.14, and I'm going to get 2143.57, which I'm going to round the 7 to the 5, and I'm going to get, as my final answer, 2143.6, and I am in inches to the third. Jump right. All right, for number 5, I have a cylinder. My volume is going to be pi r squared times the height. 5 is my diameter because it goes all the way across. If I want to turn that into a radius, I do 5 divided by 2, which gets me 2.5. So I have volume equals pi times 2.5 squared times 15. That gives me pi times 2.5 times 2.5 is going to be 6.25 times 15. I can multiply those together, and I get volume equals 93.7 pi. Now I can leave that, or I can multiply it by 3.14 to get that my volume equals 214.37, which rounds to 214.4. And I am in inches cubed. Inches to the third. So both of those answers are correct. Now, for this one, we have a sphere. Kind of when we draw it like that. The radius for that sphere, we can put dotted lines in the back if that helps. The radius is 12. So we have volume equals 4 over 3 times pi times radius to the third. We know that the radius is 12, so we just start plugging in. 12 times 12 times 12 is going to be a big number. We're going to get volume equals 4 over 3 times pi times 1728. Again, these big numbers aren't scaring me because I have my calculator. I can put that over 1. So I have 4 over 3 times 1728 over 1, which is going to give me a 3 on the bottom. And it's going to give me a 6,912 on top. I divide that by 3, and I actually get a nice number, 2304. So these two are going to give me 2304, and then I have pi. If I want to take that out to a decimal answer, I get 7,234.56, and when I round that, I get 7,234.6. And I am working in feet to the third. All right, a rectangular prism. So if you've ever practiced drawing boxes, okay, width 3.5, length 5.5, height 6.5. So my picture is definitely off, but again, it's just important that you get those 3 different units, right? So volume is going to be length times width times height. So they gave me, length is 5.5, width is 3.5, height 6.5. And I get volume is 125.125. I'm looking at that 2 to round, and it does nothing, so I have 125.1. And I am in centimeters squared. Cubed. Sorry. All right, last one. you can kind of draw a cube for yourself. The pictures are really important. It's important to be able to go from words to math and give yourself a picture. The side of this is going to be 20, so we have 20 as my height, 20 as my length, and 20 as my width. The volume of a cube is, you can really do it with a rectangular prism that we are allowed, or we can just do s cubed, which is 20 cubed, which is 20 times 20 times 20, which is 8,000. And that is centimeters to the third. If you have any questions on this, before you go on to the composite, you're going to have a good working knowledge of all of the things we've just completed, because it takes it a little bit farther. And then you will be off to do your collected assignment. So please make sure you don't have any questions before you go to that. Right to it, we have all these formulas, but this time we are going to be looking at the volume shapes, which are our 3D shapes. So our cube, our rectangular prism, our cone, sphere, and cylinder. So you see those formulas there, and we're going to use them. I want to double check because I don't know off the top of my head. 4 over 3